Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. All right. Welcome back to the second part of the weekend special of the Preston Sports Podcast. Today we are going to be doing the defensive rankings. Yesterday we did offensive, top 10 positions. Today we'll be doing the same for defense. Just a little bit of a disclaimer. With defense, I have a lot harder of a time doing rankings just because I think there's a lot of good defensive players in today's NFL. I have a hard time saying this person is better than this person. I think everyone I put on this list is incredibly great in their own special ways. I sound like a grandma trying to decide who their favorite grandchild is. But nevertheless, I love every player I put on this list. A lot of them don't have like, this is the best, this is the second best. I try to do that for at least 1 through 3. I try to get who I think is the first, second, and third best, besides for safeties. Safeties, I had such a hard time. I just kind of wrote down who I think the 10 best are and didn't put them in order. We'll start, I'll save edge for last because I can talk a lot about edge. I'll talk a lot about corner too, so we'll start with the interior defensive line. Now, I know it's obviously Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is listed at right end, but, I mean, it's a right end in a 3-4. He plays in a 3-tech, sometimes if he's wide out in a 5-tech, but nothing like an edge rusher. I don't think I need to explain this. Dominant person, like the strongest man ever, probably. Not really, but I mean, watch him play, and you'll understand why he's number 1. Number 2, we go D-Buck, DeForest Buckner. He was traded from the Niners to the Colts, I think straight up for a first round. Maybe there was a couple of later round picks in there. But, I mean, great trade for the Colts. Definite game wrecker. Between him and my number 3, Chris Jones, it's hard to decide between the two. I just think D-Buck played a lot better this past season. I like D-Buck a lot more than Chris Jones. Now, don't get me wrong, Chris Jones is also a beast. They're kind of like 2A and 2B. I just gave D-Buck the advantage just because of this season. Chris Jones, obviously great defensive tackle. He's obviously a better pass rusher than a run stuffer, but that does not mean he is not good at run stuffing because he is good at that. We go to number 4, and this is kind of where I was just kind of wrote down my top interior defensive linemen, not necessarily in the order I think they're in, because that would involve doing a detailed film study that could take a couple days. So I have Leonard Williams from the New York Giants. Obviously, I think they had one of the best defensive fronts, minus edge. They were kind of missing some edge last year. But I think that Leonard Williams, Dalvin Tomlinson, and I always forget one of their 3. Dalvin Tomlinson is actually next on my list. He went to the Vikings. But who was it? Leonard Williams, Dalvin Tomlinson. Sorry, Corbin, I forgot. But I have Dalvin Tomlinson next on the list. Both of them are incredibly good interior defensive linemen. Now, this is the interior defensive line, not my best area of expertise as far as football goes, so I probably will be saying, they're dominant in the pass game, pretty good in the run game, stuff like that. We go Fletcher Cox, one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL over the past, decade. Love him coming out of Philadelphia. Really dominant, great defensive tackle. Been playing really good for the Eagles. One thing I'm just now noticing, I did not put anyone from football team in there. Jonathan Allen and Matthew Ioannidis and Daron Payne. Especially Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne should be on this list, and it's my bad. Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, they were actually the best front in football because they had Chase Young and Montez Sweat on either side. But that's on me. They both should be on here. So after Fletcher Cox, I have Jeffrey Simmons from Tennessee. I'm pretty sure Jarrell Casey was the old one. Jeffrey Simmons was the young one. I think Jeffrey Simmons has played really well. I'm pretty sure he's dealt with some injuries, if I'm not mistaken. I'm double-checking myself right now. But I like watching him play. It's not often he plays defensive end, again, 3-4. Yeah, he's only 23 right now. Wow, should be turned 24 this July. Happy birthday. But yeah, I mean, watching him play, I don't have a lot of fun watching a bunch of interior defensive linemen play, but he is one that is actually fun to watch. He only had 3 sacks this year, but he did have 3 tackles for loss, 49 tackles. Yeah, so last year he dealt with some injuries. This year he only missed 1 game. Love him a lot. I think he's really good. Again, defensive or interior defensive line, it's not my forte. After that, we go Cam Hayward. Had a great 2020. Definitely the best player on that line. I know people say, oh, TJ Watt. It was Cam Hayward. He played dominantly. There's a reason why Cam Hayward was getting double-teamed and TJ Watt wasn't. Kind of got embarrassed by Michael Dunn or Blake Hance, maybe both in the playoff game, but, Steelers just got embarrassed in that playoff game. We go to Quinn Williams from the Jets. I know on the Jets it's hard for you to say they have a good player defensively besides Marcus May, but, Quinn Williams, really good, probably a top 5 player coming out of the 2019 draft, has played pretty well. Obviously, you can only play so good when you're the only threat on that line after they traded, I believe, Leonard Williams to the Giants. But, Quinn Williams, real dominant player, good in the pass rush, good in the run. After that, we'll go to Calais Campbell. Was part of Saxonville, I believe he was in Arizona too. Went from Arizona to Saxonville and then to Baltimore. Dealt with some injuries this year, or I think he dealt with COVID too. Missed a couple games, but he's getting up there in age, so we're not really expecting him to be dominant, but he was playing his role. He was doing what he did, and he did it pretty well. After interior defensive line, I'll go to inside linebacker, and that doesn't mean if you're an outside linebacker like Darius Leonard is, that you're not going to be on the list. It's just people who aren't edge rushers, linebackers who they're stand-up linebackers, they cover run stuff, but they don't edge rush. Obviously, got to have my man B-Wags up front. Bobby Wagner, been the best interior linebacker for a while, and possibly soon to be passed up in his own division. I have Fred Warner next. I like Fred Warner a lot. He was a steal, I believe, in the 3rd round of the 2018 draft, was it? Let's see. This should be year 3 for him, so 2021 should be year 4, so he should have played in the 18, 19, 20, and 21. Yep, the 18 draft, absolute steal in the 3rd round. A lot of teams passed up on him, and he's played, I would say, I might say that he's the best coverage linebacker in the league. I think B-Wags has him beaten run stuffing, but we got to give B-Wags first place creds. If only Luke Kuechly was still in the league, but we got Fred Warner. After that, Darius Leonard from the Colts. Man's a monster. Honestly, he's played with a really good linebacking core, too. Anthony Walker Jr. has been underrated. Bobby Okereke is underrated. But Darius Leonard by himself is a great linebacker. There's been rumors about him getting a monster contract extension, which he's definitely more than earned. Hopefully he gets paid because he honestly deserves it. After him, I go 2 Buccaneers, 2 Super Bowl champions, Lavonte David and the young Devin White. Devin White, absolute insane speedster. He had the race with, I believe it was Mecole Hardman, Henry Ruggs, and Justin Jefferson. And obviously Mecole Hardman, Henry Ruggs, really fast players. But he beat Justin Jefferson at the linebacker position. He just has such insane speed for a linebacker. And it's not like he's just fast, kind of like how I talked about some players, unlike Tyreek Hill, are just fast. They're not really good pass catchers. Devin White is a really good linebacker. He just happens to be fast. He's not starting linebacker because he's fast, but he can't tackle, can't read, can't cover. He can cover very well. He can tackle very well. I just recently, like I said, we watched the Bucs-Chiefs Super Bowl, and there was this one play where I think it was a screen. I forget if it was to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I believe it was. But he just ran by the entire offensive line and made the tackle for loss, and it's absolutely incredible. I think he's the second best linebacker on his team besides Lavonte David. I just think Lavonte David has veteran experience. I like him in coverage a lot. I like him stopping the run quite a good bit. Yeah, again, defensive, besides corners and edge rushers, I'm kind of bad at saying I like this player because I'm just right with linebackers, interior defensive line, and partially safeties. I'm just talking about people who I enjoy watching play and who I know are good. We'll go to Roquan Smith. Obviously, Bears defense, very dominant defense, like it a lot. I like Roquan, hasn't really gotten a chance to shine that much just because the Bears have been the Bears. Khalil Mack, very good. We'll talk about him later. But I like Roquan Smith. I like him a lot as a pass coverage back. I don't think he's as good as stuffing the run as some of the other linebackers on this list. But, he was a top draft pick in 2018, I believe. So, pretty good. I don't have anyone's stats up either. We'll go to Demario Davis from the Saints. Demario Davis played very well this year. I'm actually going to look up Demario Davis' stats because I believe they were impressive. But the Saints had a pretty nice linebacking core. They had Demario Davis. They had Quan Alexander, Demario Davis. I have to do this or I'm not going to know how to spell. Demario Davis will go to... I always use Pro Football Reference for stats, at least basic stats. So in 2020, he started all 16 games, didn't have any interceptions. Wow. Didn't have any interceptions, but he did have 119 tackles. 10 tackles for loss. Have any sacks? It's not going to show me that. No. He had 4. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he had an insanely good year. 16 starts. He didn't get any interceptions or anything, but 5 passes defended, 4 sacks, 119 tackles, 73 solo, 46 assisted, and then 10 tackles for loss. That is an insanely good season. He should probably honestly be higher on my... He played for Cleveland? He did. Oh my goodness. I'm learning a lot about him right now. Played for the Jets his first 4 years. Then he went to Cleveland. Then he went back to the Jets. And then he's been in New Orleans for the past 3 years. Huh? The more you know, right? Was he any good? What was the most... He only has 2 career interceptions. That's crazy. Wow. How did he play for Cleveland? Started 15 games. 2 passes defended. 1 forced fumble. I'm definitely going off on a tangent. He had 2 sacks. Okay, anyways. So, sorry. Yeah, Demario Davis played phenomenally this year. The more I'm learning a lot more about him, I'm like, oh my gosh, sorry, that really got me. Eric Kendricks, I believe he was hurt this year, if I'm not mistaken, but is definitely a very good linebacker for Minnesota. Sorry, I love looking at stats. It's a real problem I have, but, can't complain about looking at stats. Kendricks, football linebacker. Going back to Pro Football Reference. It's always the first one that comes up, and it's always super nice. Yeah, played 11 games, had 3 interceptions in those 11 games, 6 passes defended. In the 11 games he played, he had 107 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. That's pretty good if you ask me. Averaging almost 10 tackles a game. Can't complain too much about that. And along with 3 interceptions, which was his career high in the least number of games played, I believe if he didn't get hurt, he probably would have been playing pretty well for 2020. And then I have Jayon Brown. Tennessee wasn't a great defense last year, but Jayon Brown played pretty well. Wasn't anything too spectacular. That's why he's a little bit further down. And then I have Dion Jones at number 10. I understand that Dion Jones is part of the trash defense that the quote-unquote defensive side of the ball the Falcons supposedly played last year. I mean, yes, the team was trash. Or, excuse me, specifically, the defense was trash. But we got to look at him. He had 2 interceptions for 84 yards. So he had a pick 6. He had 6 passes defended and a forced fumble and a fumble recovered. He had 4.5 sacks, 106 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 10 QB hits. He played very well on a lackluster defense. He shined. I think Voice-Out Lucan also played pretty well. Not as good as Dion Jones, of course. But Dion Jones played very well. Just, it's the Falcons, so we won't talk about anything with them defensively. So I will now go to the safeties. And again, safeties specifically, I just wrote down names that I thought were good this past season. So, of course, we start with Tyrann Mathieu, obviously great safety. Jamal Adams, I honestly should have put him at edge rushers because that's what he is. He's blitz boy. Vince Wilfork, the defensive tackle, has more career interceptions than him. He's not that good in coverage. I mean, but he sacks people a lot, so I got to put him on the list. I think Jamal Adams caught a lot of flack. Seattle wasn't a great defense. I don't think he's a top cover safety, but you don't need to be a top cover safety to be one of the best safeties in the league. I don't think he's the best. I have a hard time saying who the best is, but that stuff's all coachable rather. I don't know how likely it is at this late in the career it's coachable, but it's coachable. We got Buda Baker. from the Arizona Cardinals, sticking in that division. Love Budda Baker. I love that clip of him trying to kill a practice dummy his rookie season. Budda Baker played really well this year. Did get tracked down by DK Metcalf instead of getting a pick six, but only so much you can do there. DK's a freak. We go to Eddie Jackson from the Bears. Again, Bears defense, very, very good. Love the Bears defense. Eddie Jackson, kind of one of the unsung heroes of that defense if you're not a Bears fan. Staying in the NFC North, we'll go to Harrison Smith from the Vikings. Obviously, kind of getting older, declining in play. But let's not forget that just a couple years ago, Harrison Smith was considered one of the best safeties in football. Hits very hard, plays coverage very well. Well, I believe, Anthony Harris did leave in free agency, so I don't know if they drafted anyone specifically. Did they draft Trayvon Moehrig or Javon Holland? It's possible. I think Javon Holland, no, the Raiders and the Dolphins drafted them respectively, I believe. But Harrison Smith, definitely a very good safety. Excited to see him for the next year or two. Justin Simmons from the Broncos. I don't think he's a great tackler. Same reason I said with Jamal Adams, you don't have to be the best coverage safety in the world. You don't have to be the best tackler in the world. Justin Simmons, I believe, got 6 interceptions this year. He's not the best coverage safety in the world, but he gets the ball. And, I think only one of them was tipped. I think he jumped routes and then outplayed people for the other 5, and you can't argue with 5 interceptions. It's definitely not the most important stat. It's an overrated stat, but saying that he wouldn't be a top safety in the league just because he doesn't tackle the best in the world, he still tackles them. They just get yards after contact, which, in a 4th and 3 and you tackle them and they get the 4th down, that's big. But if it's 1st and 10 and Justin Simmons reads the play, gets them 1 yard above or ahead of the line of scrimmage, and they end up getting 3 yards on the play, that's not the worst thing in the world. It's obviously not the best, but it's not the worst. We go to Minka Fitzpatrick from the Steelers. People say he's the best safety in the league. He's not the best safety in the league. He's good. He definitely gets overhyped. I still think he's top 10, but he definitely gets overhyped. And I may be biased from a Browns fan, and like I said, he is still top 10. It's just saying he's the best safety in the league is a bit of a reach for me. I remembered watching him get his ankles busted by Nick Chubb in Week 17, but that's besides the point. After Minka Fitzpatrick, we will stick to the AFC North. I have a lot of these kind of in a order of division. If I put Justin Simmons next to Tyrann Mathieu, then I would keep everyone in the same division. That's funny. We go to JJ3, John Johnson III. John Johnson. What a fun name. Imagine naming your last name being Johnson and you name your son John, and then they do that to their son, and it's John Johnson Jr., John Johnson II, and then they're like, you know what, I'm going to do that to my son, and it's John Johnson III. John Johnson, son of John. That's awesome. John Johnson, very smart safety. He was he had the green sticker on his helmet, which means he has the mic. Most of the time you see the mic, linebacker, or you see a linebacker have that. But John Johnson, he was the captain of the defense, kind of told everyone where to line up, what their job would be. Really like John Johnson, good addition for the Browns. Definitely a top safety in the league, who's getting paid top 10 money. Micah Hyde from Buffalo. I think that Micah Hyde is one of the pieces on that Buffalo defense that makes it work, along with Tre'Davious White and one of the Edmonds brothers, or 2 of the Edmonds brothers, actually, maybe. But yeah, like Micah Hyde, I forget if it was him or Jordan Poyer or Tre'Davious White. I forget who had the 360 onside kick return for a touchdown, but it was one of them. After Micah Hyde, we go to Marcus Williams, currently playing on the franchise tag. The Saints were in negative 100 cap, and they're like, you know what? Let's go more than negative. We got to keep this guy. Marcus Williams, top 10 safety, probably number 10. Should keep him at number 10. Doesn't deserve to be top 5. But like Marcus Williams a lot. Like what he offers as a pass coverage linebacker, likes what he offers as a pass coverage safety. He's a free safety, I believe, so tackling probably not his best attribute. But like I said with Justin Simmons, it doesn't need to be. So those are the top safeties. And let's go to, I'll start edge and then I'll do corner because I can discuss corner more. Edge, number 1. Sorry, he had to go on there. It's Myles Garrett. I don't give a crap about TJ Watt. TJ Watt's so good. TJ Watt doesn't get double teamed a lot. Cam Hayward gets double teamed a lot. Myles Garrett gets double teamed a lot. JJ Watt gets double teamed more often than TJ Watt. Jadeveon Clowney. Oh, there's a Vikings pass rusher that I had no idea existed who gets double teamed more often than TJ Watt. And the funny thing is, I think TJ Watt is either number 2 or number 3 for pass block win percentage. And he's not even in the top 5 of double covered. two people who are in the top 5, or one person's in the top 5 or above him. Or maybe he is number 1 in pass coverage. Oh, I have a scratch in my arm. Nice. Maybe he's number 1 in pass coverage win rate. But, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that people think that he's the best edge rusher in the league. You look at Myles Garrett, the pace he was on at the beginning of the season, and then he got COVID. Like, Myles Garrett has been the Cleveland Browns pass rush for the past 4 years. You look at the difference between him on the field and him not on the field. There was a play against the Steelers in the playoff game where they had Larry Ogunjobi, Sheldon Richardson, and Olivier Vernon. No, not Olivier Vernon. It was Adrian Claiborne. Olivier Vernon ruptured his Achilles on the offensive right. And it was just Myles Garrett on the offensive left. And they still had a tight end and an offensive guard focused on blocking Myles. So he was getting triple teamed by the guard, tackle, tight end, and they said, you know what, we're going to put everyone else in one-on-ones, we're going to stop Myles Garrett. That's how good he is. No one does that with TJ Watt. Not one person. Name one team that's done it. Anyways, number 2, TJ Watt. I still think TJ Watt's really good, just not number 1. I like TJ Watt. I like his motor. I like his drive. In all honesty, probably should have gotten Defensive Player of the Year. I'm fine with the Aaron Donald selection. Aaron Donald's dominant, more dominant than TJ Watt. And when you go into advanced analytics, Aaron Donald's better. But I still like TJ Watt as number 2. At number 3, we go to Khalil Mack, the sack attack, formerly of the Silver and Black. Sorry. There's a YouTuber I watch. He says that all the time. Khalil Mack, dominant, had kind of a... Again, the Bears players just don't get recognized as much anymore just because the Bears were garbage. I love Khalil Mack. I love what he offers that team. Truly a generational talent. Khalil Mack's a generational talent. I don't know why the Raiders traded him. He's just a player you don't trade. After Khalil, I have Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett, undrafted player, I believe, or a 7th-round pick, coming into Denver, and apparently the Browns tried to trade for him. John Elway said, no, we want to keep him, and then he just didn't re-sign him. Played very good for the Bucs, especially in the Super Bowl. I always say big-time players make big-time plays in big-time moments, and Shaq Barrett exemplifies that. After Shaq Barrett, we got Joey Bosa. Both the Bosa brothers, of course, made this list. I love Joey. Plays for the Chargers, so again, probably won't get hype. Oh, real quick, going back to safeties, I did have Derwin James and Jesse Bates kind of like a star, just because Jesse Bates plays for the Bengals, so it's possible that he's better than people think he is. He just plays for the Bengals. And then Derwin James probably would be a top 10 safety if not for the injuries. I want to see more from him healthy, and then I'll put him in my top 10, but it's the same thing that I said yesterday with Saquon. He would be a lot higher on the list, it's just he keeps getting hurt, So anyways, back to Joey Bosa. One of the most double-teamed players in the league, still produces. I'll talk a lot more about corners, I promise. It's just I'm awkward about talking about edge rushers. We go to J.J. Watt. Still mad he signed with the Cardinals. Like, dude, come on. Anyways, J.J. Watt, still dominant. Has dealt with some injuries the past couple years. But, can't help but put him on the list just because of how great he is. If he was healthy, I still believe he would be a top 3 edge rusher, but he just keeps getting hurt. So same thing, got to put him a little lower on the list. Chandler Jones coming off a torn pectoral muscle, I believe. Chandler Jones has been dominant for a long time now. Won't get the recognition he deserves, but he deserves a lot more than he gets. Has been the main pass rush unit of that Cardinals defense for a long time now. Excited to see what he does with J.J. Watt on his team. We go to Chase Young, a football team. Chase Young, Defensive Rookie of the Year, 2nd overall pick in the draft, and all those things make sense because he is so good. So good. He is a monster. Watching him play is so fun. Watching him come off the edge. Sometimes you can work him inside if you want to. He had that play where he just one hand reached out, picked up the ball, and ran it for a touchdown against the 49ers, I believe. I'm so excited to watch him play again this year. Glad we don't play him. We go Brian Burns from the Panthers. Underrated edge rusher. One of the young stars in the league. He's not talked about enough. So good. Excited to see what he does when they add Hassan Reddick. Derek Brown's on that team. Hopefully they can get another interior D lineman to kind of help that out a little bit. But, love Brian Burns. I don't get to watch a lot of Panthers games because I live in Dallas. But whenever I do, it's always fun to watch. I forget what number he is, but it's always fun to watch him play. And then to capping off the edge rushers, we have Mr. Nicholas Bosa. Lost the Super Bowl his rookie year. Can't complain about going to the Super Bowl your rookie year. He played so good his rookie season, and he's coming off a torn ACL. Definitely a huge candidate for comeback player of the year. Excited. Hopefully he doesn't lose his step. He was so explosive in 2019. I'm super excited to come watch him play. Hopefully he's even better than when we last saw him. Now, corners. This one is going to get people mad. I promise you. Maybe top 5 is okay. I have someone at 4 that you guys won't like, and I have someone at 5 that you guys will say should be higher. And then I have 2 people on the same team that their number 2 corner is higher than their number 1 corner. I'll get into that later. We go corner. Number 1, Jalen Ramsey. Don't need to explain it. Number 2, Jair Alexander. If I need to explain it, you're wrong. He allowed 0 catches 1 month. Every Sunday, 0 catches. That's 4 games. 0 catches in 4 games. That's insane. He's not the best athlete. He's not super tall. Not exactly the fastest guy. But dude's just technically so good. 0 catches in a month. That's insane. Number 3, Stephon Gilmore. Was hurt a bit last year. Going into a contract year. Love Stephon Gilmore. Love the way he plays. Lockdown corner has been for a long time. Number 3 on the list. Number 4. People won't like it. People won't respect it. And they'll say I'm biased. But I'm not. Denzel Ward, number 4. And then I'll just get it out of the way. Xavier Howard, number 5. I have Denzel Ward above Xavier Howard. Let me tell you why. Xavier Howard was Defensive Player of the Year candidate because of his 10 interceptions. Don't get me wrong. 10 interceptions. Absolutely insane. But let's go. 10 interceptions. He had 20 passes defended. 1 forced fumble. 51 tackles. 1 tackle for loss. Pretty good season. Denzel Ward. Now, Denzel Ward has a problem staying healthy, but let me tell you why that is. Denzel Ward has a problem staying healthy because he has to go help in the run game. Denzel Ward is the lockdown corner of the rounds. He's the only corner. 2019 playing with Greedy. Greedy was a rookie. 2020 playing with Terrence Mitchell and Kevin Johnson. Not great corners. Couldn't follow their best guy because the other team was so bad, so he had to stick with one side. Now, when Denzel Ward was on that side of the field was seldom targeted. Do you know why? Because Denzel Ward was on that side of the field. We'll go to Denzel Ward. He played 12 games this year. 2 interceptions in 12 games. That's because he's just not targeted that much. We go to his passes defended. 18. He had 2 less than Xavier Howard in 4 less games. He had 1 forced fumble, 46 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 QB hit. QB hit resulted in a pick 6, by the way. That tackle for loss, in case you haven't seen it, I freaking love this play. He's going up against the Bengals week 7. It's a wide receiver screen. Denzel Ward slides under a would-be blocker. Slides. Like a QB slide, like he slides and gets up and tackles the guy. Absolutely insane. Denzel Ward, definitely a top 5 corner in the league. He's going to have a breakout year this year. It's going to be absolutely insane. I'm super excited to watch it. I just know what's going to happen. He's going to be able to follow their best receiver. And that probably means the yards he allows per game is going to go up. The QB rating he allows is going to go up. The completion percentage he allows is going to go up. But you're going to see the flashy stats like interceptions go up too. You're going to see the passes defended goes up. You got to understand he's so seldom gets targeted that those sexy stats won't get that padded. And he gets injured a lot because he's making plays all over the field. He's going into the run game, making plays. He's sliding under defenders to make tackles. So after Denzel Ward, I had Tre'Davious White. Love Tre'Davious White. True captain. Real scholar. He always argues his case for penalties. Excuse me. It's so fun. I love watching him play. Kind of wasn't talked about that much this year, but he definitely should have been. I love Tre'Davious White. Now, number 7, I have Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters is QB2, or CB2 for Baltimore. He's better than Marlon Humphrey as a pure cover guy. He covers well. I like his tackling. We'll talk about Marlon Humphrey when I get to him. James Bradbury for the Giants had a breakout year, was absolutely insane. True lockdown corner. Super excited to see him in the future. Bryce Callahan, best slot corner in the league, arguably. Had a great year this year. Sorry, I'm trying to get to Marlon Humphrey. At number 10, I have Marlon Humphrey. I'm going to put this down. Marlon Humphrey is not a good cover corner. Marlon Humphrey is a physical corner who gets handsy, doesn't always get called on his holdings, but he holds a lot. Marlon Humphrey, and I know, biased Browns fan, blah, 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 I have Marcus Peters there. The reason I have Marlon Humphrey solo is because I genuinely don't believe he's that good. Let's look up his stats, why not? Marlon Humphreys. It's not his name, but... No, I don't want Wikipedia. Yeah, so he's a very physical corner. What are we fake mad about today? That's funny. Good one, Marlon. And I think Marlon's a great person. I have no problem with him. Played 15 games. Yeah, I mean, look at, his forced fumbles are great and all. And he's a very physical corner. He tackles very well. He's high tackle numbers. But look at his regular game stats. He has 1 interception for 8 yards. He has 11 passes defended. He played 3 more games than Denzel Ward and has less passes defended. Now, 8 forced fumbles. Dude is great at forcing the ball out. Great at it. But in terms of a corner, tackling and physicality is not number 1. Can I look at the penalties against him? Is that possible? I don't know. Oh, hold up. I can look at completion percentage allowed. Yeah, so this year he allowed 65% or 61% completion percentage. What did Denzel Ward allow? Sorry. We go down to Denzel. Yeah, Denzel allowed 54. Come on. And that's actually Denzel's highest completion percentage allowed. He allowed 10 yards per completion, and he was targeted 81 times. How often was Marlon Humphrey targeted? He was targeted 106 times. Sheesh. Oh, 1 second. I'm gonna play with this. I did not know this existed. Xavier Howard. Let me see if I can further my case for Denzel over Xavier. Let's do this. Advanced defense. He did allow 51, but he was targeted 100. Targeted 101. Allowed 51%. Denzel was targeted 81. Allowed 54. That's points. But he did allow 13. He allowed 7.1 per target. Denzel allowed 5.9. He had 4 touchdowns this year? No, he allowed 4 touchdowns this year. Denzel also allowed 4. Denzel allowed 108 in yards after catch. Xavier Howard allowed 267. Xavier allowed 452 air yards. Denzel allowed 373. What does that stand for? Average depth of target when targeted as a defender, whether completed or not. So average depth of target was 11.3 for Denzel. 12. I don't know what that means. What is this? His pass rush. So Xavier only blitzed once. What is this? QB pressures. So that's actually really cool. I wish I had saw that earlier. But yeah, Denzel I think is better than Xavier. Marlon Humphrey I think isn't as good as Marcus Peters. Let's actually look up Marcus Peters. Sorry, this is going a little longer than I thought it would. But I enjoy looking at NFL stats. I have a serious problem. We will go to blah, 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 blah. Let's look for that one thing. Okay, it's down here. 2020. Marcus Peters allowed a 64% completion percentage as to Marlon Humphrey's. This is Marlon Humphrey. 61. He allowed 672 yards compared to Marlon Humphrey's 651. He allowed less yards. He allowed more yards per completion, more yards per target. same amount of touchdowns. He allowed a lesser QB rating. Maybe I was wrong. Wait, he was only targeted 86 times compared to Marlon's 106. Interesting indeed. Now, what I need to find out is how many penalties Marlon Humphrey had. Because that's actually really big. How many penalties were called Marlon Humphrey? Defensive holding. So he had only one defensive holding? Sheesh. He had 4 counts of defensive pass interference. Honestly, why does it show a lot more than that? Oh, he had 3 declined. So he was called for it 7 times. Okay, I see. Watch Marlon Humphrey tape. Very physical, very handsy. That was not what I was expecting, actually. I remember it being a lot more. Guess I was wrong. Maybe I should put Marcus Peters behind Marlon Humphrey. I'll think about it. I'm not going to think about it. Marcus Peters is better. Maybe not. I don't know. I proved myself wrong. We will see where my decision lands. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Forgot to say it at the beginning of the video. Hate to say it, but I have to. I will talk to you guys, I guess tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday, regularly scheduled podcast. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We may be talking about Aaron Rodgers, maybe Julio, depending on if a Julio trade happens between now and when I record. Have a happy Memorial Day. Rest in peace to all the lost soldiers. Obviously, we need to take time to remember what the long weekend is for. It's not just an extra day to relax and a day to enjoy off work. It is definitely a day to remember those fallen soldiers and honor those who fight and risk their lives and give their lives for our freedoms as American people. I know it's commonplace nowadays to not like America and not like the soldiers who keep it a free place, but there's people who die to make sure that you have the right to say you disagree. So just keep that in your thoughts. Prayers out to any family who's ever lost anyone. We're all praying for you this weekend. That kind of got real somber real quick. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace out.